Tenakoto katoa. Welcome back to the Youth Factor, where we aim to see the world through the lens of the future. I'm your host, Alex Jung, and I hope to take you on a virtual journey around the world where stories untold will be shared, current issues will be discussed, and the voices of the youth will be heard. Today, we explore a different country in the Middle East. This country has amazing cultural sites, such as the ruins of Persepolis and the stunning architecture of Isfahan, and other beautiful places and mosques. There is such diversity in the landscape, including mountains, deserts, and forests. The food is stunning, including gourmet sabzi, kebabs, and specialty. Though this formal Persian country has preserved its stunning art, the Persian carpets, ceramics, and textiles are beautiful, and visitors can explore local markets to shop for these beautiful crafts. Today, we explore Iran. And joining me today is our guest host, Jasmin Mimari. Jasmin is from Semnan, which is 2 hours away from the capital, Tehran. Welcome, Jasmin.
Thank you so much. Hello. I hope this episode will be helpful. My name is Jasmin and my last name is Memari. I'm 16 years old and uh, for hobby, I actually enjoy listening to music and playing cajon in a musical instrument. I'm from Iran, a beautiful country with friendly people, and I born and grew in Semnan, which is really close to the one of the biggest deserts in the country named Kabir Namak.
Mm. Yeah, well, I'm very honored to have you on the podcast, Jasmin. So let's begin with our first topic, which is economic issues. Iran has one of the lowest minimum wages in the world. At least 60% live under the relative poverty line. Could you tell us more about the current poverty situation in Iran?
Yeah, sure. Actually, Iran's economy is experiencing low growth and multi-year inflation above 13. And along with it, stagnation and reduction in the production of economic sectors is observed. So unfortunately, poor families are the first groups to suffer serious damage during this inflation and whole things. And since the value of our currency has decreased over time, these economic pressures are more felt in our country in compare with other countries.
Mm. So, what are some key factors or reasons contributing to economic problems then?
Well, as I mentioned it, inflation and the devaluation of Iran's currency are some of the most important factors that these days is happening, actually.
Mm. So, for the youth, then, for like young people, to what extent does this poverty actually affect education and the potential for children?
Well, Alex, imagine that you have a talent in a field, but in order for this talent to grow and flourish, actually, you need investment. And when you don't have the money to go to classes in that field or buy even um, simple equipment for this field, um, this talent actually is suppressed. And beside that, lots of children quit studying because of the family don't have enough money to live even simple, basic life.
Mm.
So they go to work to help their family and they quit studying even. So, and by children, I don't mean teenagers even. I mean children like 8 and 9 years old children.
Mm. Yeah, I can definitely
Yeah.
see that for a lot of children, a lot of these countries that experience poverty, education, it's meant to be a human right. Everyone is meant to have the right to education, yet in so many instances, poverty is this barrier or this wall preventing people from education. And this is the unfortunate reality. And like you said, it's not just teenagers. These are kids as young as 8 and 9 who experience this type of life changes just because of poverty and not having the access to education. So the next kind of factor is, how has COVID-19 affected the situation in Iran? Has it gotten significantly worse?
Well, the spread of the coronavirus is in Iran, like many countries, has had the devastating effects by disrupting international trade and even domestic transportation. So I can say the spread of the virus has also had negative effects on Iran's business and economics activities too.
So could you maybe describe a little bit more about how COVID affected you, I guess, or the people around you? Was there lots of
Yeah.
restrictions? Or, yeah.
Well, exactly. As you know, when lots of areas in Iran don't have the great, for example, things even to eat for even food.
Mm,
And because of that, they should transport it from other areas, other cities. So, for example, because of that, some of the people even immigrate from little cities to
mm,
big cities like Tehran, Isfahan, and Mashhad.
mm.
That's yeah, just
Yeah.
that actually.
So this is a very significant issue. So is there anything being done to support the people? Are there any subsidies, any laws, and what more could be done?
Actually, well, we have some subsidies that government give to limited people, um, but it is very small amount of money and it doesn't have much effect.
Mm,
So, but the good news is that um, a lot of Iranian people that they have a better economic situation help poor families. And for example, we have an institute named RoboCamp
mhm,
that teach children freely that to children that they haven't got enough money. And have some more institutes like these
mm,
that they are even personal institute, but actually government, I don't think they can do much
mm,
because they didn't do a lot actually until now.
mm. So I guess the current situation is there's a very small number of organizations helping, but it's not enough to make change. And at this stage, the government is not the place to go for support, which I guess is something that should be changed, right? You should be able to go to the government that's meant to protect the people, but it seems to be quite the opposite.
Exactly,
So we'll move on to the
exactly.
second issue, which is the loss of biodiversity. So overgrazing, desertification, and deforestation are key contributors to the extinction of many Iranian species. So what are some kind of species that are particularly affected by this from your experience?
Well, as I know, Iranian leopard and cheetah and Iranian lynx are in danger of extinction, and they are the most important kind of animals that we have, and they are really a limited number. Is in their Asia and even Iran. So, yeah, they are in danger, like in compared with other animals, and they are so much more in danger.
So why are like the cheetah and like the lynx very special or symbolic to Iran?
Well, as you know, it's Iranian, and it's just from this part of country.
Mm,
So it is just for Iran, and actually, there is no such a Iranian leopard, cheetah, and Iranian lynx, even in other countries or
mm,
in other part of cities in our country. It's just in Semnan. So actually, they're really in danger and they're really important for us because it's kind of uh, mm, they're kind of in our culture and um, in nature. So
mm. So I guess because it's a native species, they need to be protected more at the moment. But you're seeing it the very special species only that's in Iran being endangered, and that seems to be a very big issue. So I mentioned some factors that contribute to the loss of biodiversity. Are there any other factors, and how prevalent or how often do you see this in society?
okay, well, if I want to add any factor, I would say the authorities' lack of planning to protect the environment of
Mm,
endangered animal, and that's the government issue. But the people issue is that people who pass through this area do not pay attention to warnings, and we have lots of
mm,
car accidents that make many these animals dead even
mm,
because the areas haven't got any fenced, so yeah,
mm.
no protection for
Yeah.
animals.
So Iran pledges to reduce emissions by 4% by 2030. However, they're not in line at all to achieve this at this stage. So perhaps this might be a society issue. What is society's attitude towards climate change or a greener climate? Are people not as aware, perhaps?
Well, as you say, people are not so much aware. And as I see in the society, our people are generally not aware of this issue, but today's teenage generation are paying more attention to this issue. But as you know, no culturalization has happened in this matter. So it's really difficult to understand and teach it to other people, even young people.
Mm. So there's a lack of education, would you say, about this issue? So that's why people don't really know as much about it.
Exactly, yeah.
So are there any then conservation measures for animals in place? So what can be done to help prevent this issue then?
Um, Actually, unfortunately, there is no such a thing, such as protecting animals on behalf of government. So, in
Mm.
this subject, also personal institutes are protecting animals. For example, lots of endangered animals are living in Turan Park, that it's in Semnan, our city. Um, that actually, between this park, actually, we have a road that actually there it's had been a lots of car accidents
Mm.
with endangered animals, and actually the money of getting fence in this road, it's so much that actually personal institutes can't afford it even. And actually the sad news is that 10 cheetahs in 1 year dead because of car accidents even.
Mm.
um, just the case of car accident is totally really sad, because lots of other things can happen because of for actually this endangered animal, but the whole car accident is really much more important, because it's killing lots of animals.
Mm. So definitely right now there's a lack of protection for these animals. And there's got to be more done in order to do this. And this is why we need to raise awareness on this issue. So the final topic of discussion is going to be on the loss of the right to protest. So this is something that's been an issue in Iran for many, many years. This is not a new issue. So Iranian authorities have severely restricted freedoms of assembly and expression. Could you tell us more about this?
Well, exactly, Alex. It is not a new issue, but it has been more focused on it, because these days we had a 9 months protest, and lots of people dead actually because of that, because of participating in this protest, and lots of people get arrested, and even teachers, people with like teenagers and singers, or even people, anyone that is protesting, arrested or dead. So they even filter lots of apps of social media that they cannot control it, and there is a chance to people talk there about the whole situation and this kind of things. Even writers, video makers, podcasters, singers, actors, that they are famous and they can say something to that followers, to their followers. Actually, they forced to shouldn't say anything about
Mm.
the situation. Otherwise, there is chance that they can get arrested. And yeah, it's really sad story.
Mm. So, I mean, you make a really valid point. I know that this is the kind of issue of censorship because you have people can't express their perspectives, even those who have the power to do that. Like you said, celebrities and pop stars who normally in lots of different countries, they're kind of the people, if they say something, it gets a lot of attention. But if you block that source as well, I mean, who's going to have that voice? I think that's a really concerning issue. So then there have been labor union protests, and there's been protests from teachers nationwide, and there's been student activism as well in Iran. So what were the government responses to these protests, and what are some extreme dangers to this?
Well, Alex, there is no difference between people when they are protesting against anything that government don't like it. For example, if you are a teacher or even 14 years old children, they can arrest you immediately, or in the best case, they can make you to have a written commitment that they will not repeat this work again. So actually, there is no difference between people that they are protesting.
You're right. I mean, this is a really concerning issue because if you're if the government sees protesters as all the same, I mean, this puts a severe damage to students or children or young people or to old people or to people from different classes. This is a demonstration of how severe this kind of blocking of protests really are, that it doesn't matter who is protesting, every form of protest needs to be blocked. And this just puts so many lives at danger. And I think that's really, really concerning. So, how does this affect democracy in Iran then? And I'm very curious as to why the government would block every form of protest.
Well, actually, democracy is really complicated subject in Iran, and in my opinion, there isn't any democracy exists even now,
Wow.
because you can't protest against anything, and if you protest, and for example, we had a singer that was like 215 days in jail because of just having a song that was like protest. um, and now they say he should be in jail for 6 years and 6 months,
Wow.
beside that 250 days.
Mm,
So yeah, actually, there is no such a democracy, in my opinion. And Alex, in Iran, people protest against things that they really want to change. For example, freedom of coverage or women's rights, or even economic problems that these days are really, economic problems are really big situation for Iranian people.
that's right.
But if they can't change it, anything, that's the point. There is no such a thing to change.
Mm. So it's kind of like blocking protests is just another step for the government to control power, to ensure there's no kind of competition to it, no form of revolution to it. So, are there any religious factors then? What could be some implications of that? And could you maybe briefly begin by just giving a bit more Iranian history context? So maybe from the 1979 revolution and kind of drawing that timeline from that point to now.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, after the revolution of 1979, Islam became the official religion of Iran. Okay,
Mhm.
and girls and women, had to observe hijab everywhere. Even people with another religion, they should do that. And if they shouldn't do that, at first they just should pay, or pay money to government or these things. But now it's really different, and even people with even that this 9 last months protest against it, because death of a girl because of her coverage.
Mm,
So they say she weren't enough hijab. So that's the point. And I think the problem actually improved and grows after like the whole revolution of 1979,
mm,
in my opinion, actually.
mm. I think, have you read the book Persepolis before by Marjane Satrapi? She's an Iranian author. Have you heard of the book?
Uh, no, actually, I didn't heard about it.
So Persepolis is like it's like this comic book, right? And she lived during the 1979 revolution, and she kind of draws it out and gives context. And that got a lot of the world's attention about exactly what you've just described about the very strict Islamic control over people as soon as the 1979 revolution happened. And I think religion is, of course, a really important thing. It's very personal to many people, but I personally don't think that religion is the reason to violate human rights. And in the case of Iran, this is what is being demonstrated. And I think a lot of countries, you take religion, you take it the wrong way, or you take it too seriously, and this leads to such violation of human rights for many citizens. I think that's something that is an issue that's continuing. So human rights organizations such as Amnesty and Human Rights Watch, they're still commenting on this issue because it's the Iranian kind of democracy issue is really well known to the world. So are there any pieces of the story that are missing though from these reports? Or is there anything more you would probably like to add about the situation in Iran?
Well, yeah, actually, if you pay attention to the whole organization that they are human rights organization, actually, I think they didn't pay attention too much to the whole story of this democracy thing, because you know, people dead, gets arrested, and you know, 6 years being in jail is really long years. You know, lots of things you can do outside of the jail. So even in that case, they should do something. And that's not just enough to have a news or commenting on something. Just I think they should really do something, not just saying that they want to do something.
So you think that perhaps these institutions are not doing enough at this stage? Like they're just reporting on it, but there's no real action being supported on this. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Are there any last words you'd like to say about any of the topics we discussed?
Well, no, actually, I said anything that I would like to say and mention in our conversation. So thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you once again, Jasmin, for joining in this episode and representing Iran. This wraps up this episode of the Youth Factor. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you look forward to the next stop of our journey, the United States of America. Thank you.